Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will share my product manager job hunting journey with you. And my name is Jiajing Dai, and I am an incoming associate product manager at LinkedIn. The reason why I'm recording this presentation is because there are so many people reaching out to me on LinkedIn, asking me about LinkedIn APM program and other APM programs, and basically like my PM preparation in general. So that's why I'm recording this presentation to provide you a very general taste of what you can look for when you are preparing for the APM programs. And maybe like if you still want to reach out to me after watching this video, and you can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask me more specific questions about your background. So, and also this presentation is about my background and a little bit why I think I got chosen, but I'm not sure this is what the interviewers are thinking about. So like, stay tuned. So before I dive into today's agenda, I will talk a little bit about myself. I graduated from Master of Engineering Management program at Duke last year, and Bachelor of Software Engineering at Wuhan University in 2018. Previously, I worked as a technical program manager intern at TikTok, product manager intern at Tencent, and digital marketing intern at Tesla. And the first time that being product manager was the time that I founded my startup in sophomore year. So we have two products. So basically, like when you say like Google and Skywatch are the two products from my startup. And I will talk about my entrepreneurship experience later. And today I will touch on three topics. The first one is about my entrepreneurship experience, and which is probably, I think, the primary reason or like the primary experience that attracts interviewers in the conversations. And the second part will be my time at Duke, because it is the time that I explored the business world. And the third part will be the PM job hunting journey and some of the tips I want to share with you guys. But I do want to mention here, because I'm born from a non-English speaking country, and I was born in China. So basically, like people do not use Facebook and Google or Google in China. So some of my preparation might be like learning about Google or Facebook or those like US tech companies that probably are not working for you. So probably, so I'm just like sharing my experience here to have you reference to. So talking about my entrepreneurship experience, the first product that we were building was Google.com, which was a website to assess the value of virtual items in the games. And the reason we were starting this product was because we were like participating in the competition, which was a 2016 City Cup Financial Innovation Competition. And the weird thing happened during the competition was that we won the national champion of this competition and the best technology award. But after the competition, there were no investors or VCs reaching out to us, but they reached out to like the second place and the third place. So like we were thinking probably there was something wrong, and maybe the product there wasn't a product market fit for our product. Maybe our product could not land in the market successfully, stuff like that. But still, the OCR technology in China was not that successful in 2016. So we were winning this competition because we developed this technology pretty maturely. So we were thinking about maybe the product, if the product was not working, then we could probably leverage the technology to do something else. So we have the second product. And in 2016, the Chinese live streaming service is bloomed in Chinese tech industry. But there were a lot of illegal content in the videos. And what the live streaming companies were doing at that time was basically two ways. The first one is that they hire a lot of, they call supervisors, to switch from one channel to another to identify illegal content in the videos. And the second solution is to leverage the users to report the content themselves. So at that time, we found these two solutions are pretty time and money consuming. So that's why we were creating the second product is which is Skywatch, a video monitoring system to identify illegal content in the videos. And later on, there was a tech company in China, a short video company in China using our product to identify illegal content in their videos. And that was this experience was actually the start of my passion to product management. And later on, I tried multiple product manager internships and came to Duke for further study. And my time at Duke was the time that I explored the business world. There are a lot of courses about strategy, about consulting, about management, about finance, about marketing that provide me taste of what business world looked like. So later on, I took one semester gap for my internship at Tesla and Tencent. At Tesla, I was a digital marketing intern because at that time I was thinking about why not, try something else. Product management is not the only role that probably suit me, but after trying the marketing role, I really loved my experience at Tesla, but I don't want to be a marketer. So I went back to product management and became a product manager intern at Tencent AI Lab. So that was basically what happened before my PM interviews. So and later on, like my experience at TikTok was actually after I got my full-time offer. So then I will talk about the product management interview preparation and especially talk about APM programs because I basically apply for 10 companies and most of them are APM programs. I apply for Facebook RPM program, Salesforce APM, Uber APM, Lyft APM, Apple Siri rotational program, LinkedIn APM, Palo Alto Networks PMA, Microsoft Program Manager, Amazon Product Manager program for MBA new grads. How many are this? I'm not sure. Like if I also interview some other companies, I probably forgot. But back in China, I applied for 3 companies, which are Tencent, Alibaba, and ByteDance. I got offers from all of those 3. And for the APM programs, most of them are rotational programs. So also I applied for Google APM. I nearly forgot. I interviewed Google on site, like till the very end. I nearly forgot that I interviewed Google APM. Back to our topic. So for most of the APM programs, they're rotational programs. So you basically spend the first 1.5 years or like 2 years to rotate from from one product line to another to understand what product managers are doing in different product lines. But for some of the program manager or like product manager programs, like Amazon or Microsoft, they probably do not have the rotational piece of it. So please make sure to know that before you apply for those programs. And also for most of the APM programs, they do not want their candidates to have product manager full-time experience before. So because those programs are for like very entry-level product managers, very like aspiring product managers. So if you already work as a product manager before, make sure to be aware of that. So this is the overview of the APM programs and other programs for new grads. And regarding the preparation, I think it is pretty standardized. A lot of people might share the same content, like you need to read those 3 books and do mock interviews. And for the 3 books, they are Decode and Conquer, Cracking the PM Interview, the PM Interview Questions. And for those 3 books, I found Decode and Conquer most helpful because it could tell you a very basic framework that you could use to answer product design questions, product execution questions, strategy questions. But like when you are interviewing, you do not need to necessarily use those frameworks because after you mock interview with a lot of people, you probably will find a better framework that suits you. So for me, I developed my own framework based on the framework that is mentioned in Decode and Conquer. So different frameworks work for different people, just to make sure that to have a framework that fits you. And cracking the PM interview could tell you very general taste about what those companies are looking for, and very general context about the APM programs and the programs for new grads in the United States. And for the third book, the PM interview questions, it is a question bank. So it has like 167 interview questions. It was my primary source when I was doing my mock interviews with others. So I just like pick up one question from the book and ask my partner. But later on, as I was interviewing more companies and I got more experience in PM interview questions, and maybe also after I check like Glassdoor, productmanagementexercise.com, those kind of websites, I could generate my own interview questions. So yeah, those are the brief introductions about these 3 books. And for mock partners, I suggest you to find diverse people with diverse backgrounds. So basically, you can find people from different countries, people with different seniority, people work in different industries, in different companies to provide you feedback. I found that really helpful. Do not just find your friends around you. And for the third part, I want to talk about what kind of research I did before I interviewed those companies. And for this part, because again, like I was born in China and I need time to know what happened for Google, like throughout these 10 years for Facebook, like the same, right? What happened when after they found it and till today. So what I mentioned here is not necessarily what you need to do, but I just like provide my experience to let you consider. For the first part, it was conferences. So a lot of companies have their conferences to talk about their new release. So for example, for Google, they have I/O conference. Facebook, they have F8. LinkedIn, they have Talent Connect. Ignite is for Palo Alto Networks, and WWDC for Apple. For those conferences, if you just like watch, let's say this year, it probably won't be that helpful. You will feel like what they mentioned in the conferences are so amazing and so exciting, and you are looking forward to buy their products. But if you go back to 10 years before and watch the conferences every year throughout these 10 years, you can find what they are proposing today is making sense. And you could probably imagine what it's going to be like after, maybe like 1 year after or like 2 years after. You could see the future. So when I was preparing, I was like going back to 10 years and watch for every year during my lunch. So you could probably like do the same. I found it really helpful. And for the second part, I was reading about biographies. That was because I really do not know like what happened for Google and for Facebook after before 10 years. So, but I found reading those books are really helpful to provide, like to let you know a taste of what kind of candidates those companies are looking for. So for example, for Google APM program, they're looking for people with a technical background, like for the best. And after you read how Google works, or another biography from Google called In the Plex, you can understand why they're doing this. And for Facebook, the biography for Facebook is called Facebook. And after reading Facebook and No Filter is for Instagram, you can understand why there are so many similar features between Facebook and Instagram. And for example, like why there is stories on Instagram and there is also stories on Facebook. Well, as an international student, I could not understand that at the first place. But after reading their biographies, I can understand why they're making those decisions. And It Will Never Work is for Netflix. And the third part is to understand news that is currently happening. It is very important for product managers. So there are some resources you might want to use. The first one is the information.com, which is basically what is happening in the tech world. I found it's really concise and useful. And also it's useful when I'm answering product strategy questions during my interviews. And there are some other websites like Andrew Chen's blogs and some other blogs from VCs, which you can also check out. They basically, you can use their thoughts to answer the strategy questions and provide you an idea, maybe to understand the current strategy in the tech industry. But those are just ideas. I cannot say that you will use those ideas directly in your interviews. I cannot make sure of that, but those ideas really count when maybe one day you can connect the dots. And then the fourth resource I want to share is podcasts, which work for a lot of like mid-sized company or small-sized startups. So for example, before you interview a company, you can search that company in the podcast and see what is popping up. So for Palo Networks, for example, I searched Palo Networks before I interviewed that company. And I found that Palo Networks has a podcast channel. And when I was talking about this podcast channel and talk about like how I was inspired by the interviews they had on this podcast channel, my interviewer was telling me that he didn't even know that there was a podcast channel, like their company has a podcast channel. So we had a pretty great conversation about the podcast. So yeah, so I think it is a great way to start a conversation. And also for some of the markets, you can find the podcast related to it. So for example, when I was interviewing Lyft, there's a podcast called The Ride Sharing Guide. You can search that on podcast. I'm not sure about the exact name of that channel, but you can search for that. So you can basically get ideas about what they think about this whole industry. Oh, and by the way, for the biography, if you're not sure whether there is a biography about the specific company that you are going to interview, just search for the company's name on Audible and see what's popping up. I found that really helpful. And for the last one is your connections. Make sure to know like what is the start date for all the APM programs. By the way, like you need to apply for those APM programs at the very first or second day after it opens its program, because the APM programs are pretty competitive. So basically, a lot of companies probably will not review the resumes if you apply for their program like maybe after 1 week or 2 weeks. So make sure to know what is the start date of the APM programs and apply on the first day. Maybe I applied on the first day and I found it really helped. Maybe like the first 2 days for you. And make sure to find the person who can refer you. I know there are some of the APM programs like Facebook or Lyft, they do not value referral this year. But for other companies, I think they still value referral. I think the reason why Facebook and Lyft do not value referral is because maybe there are just too many candidates and it's such a burden for their employee. And there is just no major difference between like the person who with a referral versus the candidates without the referral. I'm not sure about this, it's just my guess. But for other companies, referrals still counts. So you can reach out to your alumni, people that you know about to refer you. Make sure to confirm with that person before the program starts to make sure that the person could help you on the first day. So talking about referral, the last piece I want to share is about networking. When I was at Duke, a lot of teachers from Career Center at Duke telling me that networking is super important when you are looking for a job and when you are working at the workplace. Networking is going to help your life and change your life. I found that really pretty right. But as students, I don't think I understand what networking is like when I was like still a student. So I would like share 4 questions here to let you think about how to network, how to do networking effectively. The first one is how you could benefit others. When you are requesting help from people who are senior to you, it's not just like them helping you, it's also like how you could help them. So for example, I have a WeChat official account So I probably share my followers, or like share or provide a lot of numbers of leads to my partners, who probably will also be a product manager. So so that's how I could benefit others. But you do not need to benefit others professionally if the other person is more senior to you. So for example, there was a friend of mine who is much more senior to me, and there was one day she was looking for a Chinese teacher for her son, and she was looking for someone who is currently in the Chinese university. And at that time, I'm thinking probably like she just have maybe 2,000 connections on WeChat, and at that time she was sending a WeChat moment, which is like a WeChat post, to broadcast it. But I don't think she could easily find a student from her connection. So I just help her to advertise it. And I gathered 3 resumes to her, and she chose one of them. It's just not like limited to helping others professionally, because when the other part is more senior to you, probably you could not find the opportunity to help them professionally. But you can maybe like help them personally, right? You can, if you could not share your insights or something, you could probably share your labor, right? There was one student reaching out to me after I got LinkedIn offer. She was saying, you know, I do not know what to offer to you, but I saw you have this WeChat official account and you were publishing blogs, and I could help you with the layout. She says she's done this before and she would be happy to help me. And it's just like showing your mentor that you have this mindset. And at that time, I was saying like, you know, helping me with the layout is not going to help you with your product management career. So let's leave this like in the future. I will find you maybe some work to also help you with your PM career as well. So later on, when I organize the annual event, I reach out to her to help me and introduce her to the special guest on our event, and she helped me to gather questions and hold the event together. And at the same time, she expand her network to know a lot of people who are currently product managers or senior product managers in the industry. So that is like how you could benefit each other. It's just like when you are reaching out to your mentors on LinkedIn, make sure to show this mindset. And for the second question, how to speak without ambiguity. I've seen a lot of people reaching out to me and sending like a huge paragraph, and it really takes time to read those words, and especially when you cannot talk about your ideas concisely and accurately. So I would say one thing that I found really helpful is to read others' article or read others' resume to understand how to speak professionally and concisely. As an international student, I reached out to Communication Center at Duke for help. If there is an organization around you to help you with that, that would be great. And for the third question, how to do networking professionally. So for example, when you are adding people as connection on LinkedIn, make sure to add a note. Make sure to introduce yourself and talk about why you're reaching out on the note. And after the other person accept your invitation, make sure to make a more comprehensive introduction about yourself, and talk about like how you could benefit each other, why you are like coming here, why you're reaching out, and why you are valuable for the other part to help you. So these are the tips for you to do networking professionally on LinkedIn. I've seen a lot of students adding me on LinkedIn without an introduction, which just bring me confusion. So make sure not to do that. And the last one, the last question is, what's your story with the company you're interviewing? I found this really helpful when I was interviewing on LinkedIn. I'm sure it is not just limited to LinkedIn. I'm sure like the other companies will also prefer you when you are having this experience. So what is your story with the company? When I was interviewing on LinkedIn, because I have the WeChat official account, and I'm also a new grad with a lot of job offers, and so that's why I am a business partner with LinkedIn China. We organize events together, and that was my story with LinkedIn. And because of the events we organized together, I got the opportunity to connect with a lot of senior level people from LinkedIn China. So maybe some of them are head of marketing, director of products. So connecting with those people provide me a taste of what LinkedIn people are like, and got me feel more excited about the job and about interviewing LinkedIn. So talk about your story with the company that you're interviewing. I found it really helpful when you're interviewing the company. So that will be the end of the presentation. I hope it's helpful. I know, like, because I'm not an English native speaker, so maybe some of my sentences might confuse you. So if you have any questions, make sure to post your question in the Q&A session, and feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. Feel free to subscribe my YouTube channel, and if you're using WeChat or Bilibili, feel free to subscribe my channels there. And the QR code right here is for my WeChat official account. Yeah, and that will be the end of it. Good luck with your guys' job hunting. And I know it is difficult to land a product manager job in the United States, especially your entry level. It is super hard if you are targeting APM programs. If you're targeting APM programs when you are not an undergrad, when you're targeting APM programs when you are not an undergrad and you are not an English speaking person, it will be super hard. But there are a lot of successful cases right before. Like, we could see a lot of people have done it. So be confident and work hard. Best luck. Bye.